Right, so the NFL and how it is a socialist establishment.
If you had to guess what the 20 most valuable sports teams on Earth are, where would you start? Football is the most popular sport on Earth, so you'd guess some famous football teams would be on this list. Real Madrid, yep, here at number
Oh, that football. Okay.
11. Manchester United, check. Barcelona, Liverpool, check, and check. How about that team that won a historic 3 trophies last year and is owned by an ultra-rich monarchy? Nope, not on the list. In fact, that's it for football teams. Baseball also has a huge fan base, but only one team made the list, and there's only 3 basketball teams. The last 12 teams on this...
Hold on, what was the number there for baseball?
That's it for football teams. Baseball also has a huge...
500 million? Most popular sports in the world. Estimated fan base. Okay.
Huge fan base, but only one team made the list, and...
He's talking about fan bases right now, right? Hold on, what? Because, like, I thought he was talking about money when he started.
Football is the most popular sport on Earth, so you'd guess some famous football teams would be on this.
4.4 billion people are fans of football, as in, like, soccer, right?
List. Real Madrid, yep, here at number 11.
So that's more than half of the world.
Manchester United, check. Barcelona, Liverpool, check, and check. How about that team that won a historic 3 trophies last year and is owned by an ultra-rich monarchy? Nope, not on the list. In fact, that's it for football teams. Baseball also has a huge fan base, but only one team made the list.
Baseball has a fan base of 500 million, so 330 whatever million in the United States. I know the Nippon League's huge. We also have leagues in, I guess you would call it Central America, the Puerto Rico and Cuba, and I don't know my geography, man. I'm a sad excuse for a streamer. Okay, so this is just estimated fan base. Okay, keep going.
And there's only 3 basketball teams. The last...
Yeah, 400 million, which would be like whatever it is in the United States, 330, however, plus the Euro League.
12 teams on this list don't play any of the world's most popular sports. Turns out they all play American football in the National Football
400 million in American football
League, which has pretty much been printing money for 50 years.
Cowboys, Patriots, just because they've been winning. LA Rams, because it's LA, but that doesn't... Oh, yeah, Las Vegas. It doesn't make up for the Chargers, but the Chargers are also from San Diego, and San Diego doesn't really give a shit about people going into their city. New York Giants, that's obvious. Chicago, that's another big city. Las Vegas, that's a solid fan base from Oakland. Also Las Vegas making it bigger. And the other New York team, Washington Commanders, I don't understand that one. 49ers, I do understand that one. Eagles, Miami, and then the Houston Texans. Throwing it up. I was just trying to get it into the screen, dude. That's what I was trying to do. But yeah, most valuable, man. Wow, Cal McNair is raking it in, bro. Cool. I mean, cool for him. Not cool for anybody else but him. I will say that he's made some good moves here in this last year. Nobody expected them to get as far as they did. Sure, they lost to the Ravens. Hey, whatever. My prediction, it'll be, I'd say it's going to be Chiefs and probably a Niners.
Today, the NFL makes more money than any other sports league in the world, and it's not even close. What did the NFL figure out that all the other sports leagues didn't? And will any of them ever catch up?
The 50, Harper chasing, they're not going to catch it, it's going to be touchdown!
It's a touchdown! They always get so hyped up.
first difference between the NFL and European leagues stems from a single decision made more than 120 years ago.
Third base in the first inning.
In the mid-1800s, both America and England decided to create professional leagues for their favorite sports. In the US, that was baseball. In England, it was football. Okay, quickly before we move on, because this video is ultimately about American football, I'm going to call this sport football and this sport soccer. Apologies to my non-American viewers, but that's just how we're going to do it. Both countries wanted to create a league where, one, all the best teams in the country could consistently play each other.
I'm laughing because there's always an argument about what football is when talking to somebody that's from anywhere outside of these borders here. It's I don't even know where the term soccer came from. That's kind of, I guess it's kind of a joke, huh?
And two, the team owners would make money. But each achieved this in different ways because they have different geographies. In the US, the major cities and therefore the best teams are far apart. A round trip for the Boston team to play the St. Louis team would take almost 3 days of travel, which cost the owner a lot of money. He needed to pay his players for all that time and in fact make them full-time employees, which was new back then. So when the National League formed, it gave them some guarantees. First, a monopoly over their territory. The league wouldn't let in another Boston team, so they would always be the best team in their region, allowing them to attract the most fans and make the most money. Only in huge cities like New York and Chicago would they allow...
You know, there's a lot being skipped in here as far as the creation of these clubs. A lot of them were nomadic to begin with. I guess that's before the establishment of the National League. As it being an official league, a lot of these clubs would go between cities and would travel between cities and not necessarily represent the cities themselves. They would represent the clubs. And I keep saying clubs because it's an important word to repeat here when we're talking about this, and especially if we're talking about profits and what they represent, what the clubs represent. These clubs would go travel between cities, and then, you know, you have some really good players, which they are, you know, super athletic. It takes a lot of being a dedicated athlete to a sport to excel in it and to be one of the top percent of it in the world. You can see that if you've ever put your kid in Little League, or if you've ever gone to a baseball game. Try catching a ball that they throw, it will demolish your hand. But yeah, these clubs are exclusive to the players, and that terminology of being a club, it makes it sound more exclusive. And as you can hear in a lot of terminology that people use these days, especially sportscasters and especially reporters, the sideline reporters, and everybody that's, you know, giving you the analysis of the game as the game is going on, they'll say it's a team, and team sounds more inclusive, right? Club sounds very exclusive. So if somebody said, "Hey, do you want to buy a shirt for this club?" And you would say, "Oh, does that mean I'm going to be in the club?" No, that means that you would support the club. "Oh, hey, do you want to buy the shirt of this team?" Yeah, I love being part of a team. Cool, buy the shirt. So that's kind of like this mental exercise that you have to do whenever you think about what people are telling you, right? It's I forget what it's called now, but it's the wording that is being used. To specifically give out the information that, hey, now you're part of the team and all you did was buy a t-shirt.
Out two teams. After establishing itself, the NL restricted membership, guaranteeing these teams a spot and creating the first closed league. The rest of America's sports leagues followed its example, including in 1920, the National Football League.
Football, Yankee style, rougher,
Football,
more
Yankee
spectacular
style.
than rugby or soccer.
So Americans decided to create closed leagues is a key decision that makes them different from European leagues. And I want to create an animation that we can use throughout the video to see how this works. Okay, so this is the league and these are the teams. In the NFL, there are 32 of them. And the best teams are up here and the worst down here. Okay, so this orange line means that the league is closed.
Yeah,
but
Cincinnati
I kind
got-
of want to figure out a way to make this visual a little bit more memorable. Okay, let's use this to close it. Now, the size of each team is going to represent how rich they are, which is important because the NFL worried that the richest teams would buy up all the best players and always beat the poor teams. Basically, they worried every NFL season would end like this.
Oh, Cowboys, if only you could.
And fans would find that boring. So early on,
The least profitable or the Bengals, or I'm sorry, the least valuable Bengals, Lions, Bills. Wow. The Jags. Oh man, this is wow. That's actually pretty surprising, but yeah, the largest cities in the U.S. DFW, New York. Obviously, there's 2 New York teams. L.A. Where's the other LA team? Oh, it's way down there. Okay, that's because it was San Diego before. Houston, Philly, San Francisco. Yeah, I guess Washington, Atlanta. All right, yeah. So the biggest cities are the most valuable because they are the teams that represent the largest cities, right?
they made another key decision to avoid that. The NFL limits every team to spending the same amount on players every year, something called a salary cap. In addition, the worst teams in the league gets the first pick in a draft of college players the next year, giving them a better chance of moving up. These rules give every NFL team the same chance to succeed. This is how the NFL finished in the 2022-23 season. In the last decade, 8 different teams won the championship.
Chiefs are Super Bowl champions here in Miami.
These rules to keep teams equal is why experts often describe American sports leagues as socialist.
And if we use our same diagram to look at Europe's soccer leagues, you can see why they're described as hyper-capitalist.
We're sharing the wealth, brother.
Okay, so running Search Party requires a ton of writing, whether it's writing
Oh yeah, that's not for me though. I don't make any money here. So goodbye.
Search Party. Now let's get back to the video.
Okay.
Cities in England are much closer than in America, so in 1888, the founders of the Football League didn't give teams the same guarantees. Instead, they created a series of open leagues.
It's called open because anyone can start a team and enter the bottom league. Then each year, the top few teams in each league are promoted up, and the bottom few are relegated down in order to keep the
This
best
is
teams
weird to
together
me.
each season. But unlike the NFL, it means any team can join the top league simply by winning.
Impossibly, illogically, Leicester City are the champions of England.
But this also means that any team can get kicked out if they have a bad season.
Well, it has been one hell of a ride for Leicester City, but 7 years after they lifted the Premier League, it is time to say goodbye.
To
Was
make
a
matters
good
more
time,
cutthroat,
sir.
England's football leagues don't have a salary cap like the NFL does, so rich teams can spend far more than the others and win more.
This is why the Premier League finished like this in 2023, and why only 5 teams have won it in the past decade. Today, every European country's soccer league works roughly in the same way, and many are dominated by the richest teams. But because they're in open leagues, they're still considered less valuable
Seems
than
kinda
most
sucky.
NFL teams. See, investors know if an NFL team finishes dead last, it gets to stay in the NFL next season, making NFL money.
Well, of course. Where else would it drop out to? What, college? Like, no, first of all, we don't pay college players in the United States. None of those guys get paid by their schools. I think they made it available for them to do endorsements, but still, that's not NFL money. And if you were to drop a team, like, I remember there's this big thing about dropping the Browns and making them play against Alabama, and then putting Alabama in the NFL. Like, that's just dumb. It's dumb. You have grown ass men that are all part of these leagues playing against that would play against college players. No, you'd get crushed. Like old man strength, like even old man strength coming into it as a factor there, you would still, the Browns of that time would have crushed Alabama at that time. It would be no contest. But yeah, that's also like what league are they going to drop into? I mean, I do know that they're making the XFL and the USFL one league now, and that's going to be a thing. But still, those players are either retired NFL players or NFL players that did not make the cut. I think there was a PJ Walker that made it from God, what team was he on? Oh, he was on the Houston Roughnecks, and he went to go be the quarterback for who was it? They're on here. It must not be very profitable. Where are they? Oh, the Panthers. And then he sucked.
But in a European league like the Premier
He was like head above water for a little bit, and then he was just down. He was out.
League, when a team finishes last, they're kicked down to the lower, less popular league, where they'll make far less money. Even the threat of that happening is pressuring Premier League teams to spend dangerous amounts of money.
Newcastle United have broken their transfer record.
The English Premier League's record summer spending has come to an end.
Take Manchester City, who earned $788 million in revenue in 2022, the most in the Premier League. That year, the Washington Commanders made $545 million, the eighth most in the NFL. But Manchester City spent more than $614 million on player wages, while the Commanders were only allowed to spend $214 million because of the NFL's salary cap. That's the biggest reason why the Commanders ended up making $30 million more in profits. In fact, every NFL team was more profitable than Manchester City, which, again, was the most profitable team in England. Most teams in the Premier League actually lose money. Even though soccer teams are more popular than football teams, investors consider NFL teams to be more valuable because that league's guarantees and cushy safety net makes them a far safer bet than Europe's teams that need to spend big and get lucky just to maybe make a profit. But that leaves one more question about this list that becomes glaring when you expand it to the top 50. American baseball teams are in a closed league, but there are only 5 here. And American basketball teams...
It's because baseball is boring, bro. I know because I watch baseball, and it is fucking boring. They are trying to speed it up with new rules and changes and whatnot that have been done to the league at the detriment to the traditional playing style. Baseball is all about statistics. Baseball is such a drag. It is. It really is. And they're trying to speed it up. Like, they're trying to make it more exciting. They're giving, like, the pitcher, like, 30 seconds to throw out the next pitch. They if they really want to make it more exciting, they need to do something with the 7th inning stretch, because that's, like, the halftime thing. They don't televise, like in Houston, like, they do, like, the stars at night are big and bright, deep in the heart of Texas. Like, they don't televise that stuff, but they do, like, they will televise, like, the national anthem. Like, nobody wants to watch that, man. Like, everybody wants to see what I just did, like, people being goofy, right? And fucked up, they don't do that here in DFW. I was very disappointed about that, and it made me very mad. They do some other dumb shit. But, like, it's just a boring sport. Like, it's all statistics. If there's so many abbreviations in baseball, it's crazy for the statistics. But football, like, you literally, like, every play is a build-up. Like, they build up to it, like, for, like, 20 seconds, and then they execute the play, and it's like, oh, touchdown. Like, oh my God, it's so exciting.
We're in a closed league with a salary cap, but there's only 6. Meanwhile, almost every NFL team is on this list. That's because the NFL saw what the future of sports would be long before anyone else did.
Who doesn't enjoy a football game if you're one of the lucky ones able to get a ticket? Thanks to the newest marvel of modern science, television, you can just lean back in a comfortable chair at home, relax, and watch the game.
In 1946, there were approximately 12,000 television sets in the US. 4 years later, there were about 4 million, and they were increasingly tuned to live sports. Major League Baseball broadcast its first game in 1939. 2 months later, the NFL followed. It was the start of a close relationship with television companies that would be another key ingredient
television
to NFL's
contracts
business
is
success.
another reason football is huge.
At first, NFL teams sold their television rights individually to their local stations, but by 1950s, big national networks wanted in. Football was dramatic programming that they could air relatively cheaply.
So, like, these owners are just, like, raking in the money, right, from, like, television contracts. Jerry Jones changed TV landscape for the NFL in December 1993. Did it say 1.1 billion? This dude, He don't look like that anymore. Yeah, there you go. $1.1 billion. That's why every Cowboys game is always on a Fox station, on a Fox affiliate. Not only that, in this deal that he made with Fox, it was it's one of the reasons that people call the Cowboys America's team, or they used to, until they sucked forever. Or they can't win a damn playoff game. But he made the deal. In this deal, he made it to where if there wasn't a major team in the vicinity of where the games were being aired, and it was a Fox station, they were going to show the Cowboys. So, like, in the middle of, like, Nebraska, like where there's not a team, you would see the Cowboys game. In the middle of, like, Arizona, where there wasn't a team before the Cardinals, or wherever the Cardinals are, they would be restricted to their area, and all around that you would see Cowboys games. That's how the Cowboys got to be so valuable. He made that deal to where that they were being primarily shown around the nation, and they were America's team because everybody was watching them. So that's something that he doesn't talk about. The other thing that he's not talking about here is the other socialist aspect of this, of NFL stadiums are paid for by taxpayers. Taxpayers are paying billions for NFL stadiums. Here's how. They've cost taxpayers $4.3 billion. So these billionaires own these teams that are valued in the billions themselves. And then on top of that, like, for example, Houston. What the hell? Why? What do you mean, what the hell? Why? What the hell? Why are the taxpayers paying for the stadiums, is what you're saying? Sabrina. I hate it here. Yeah. So why are the taxpayers are paying billions for renovations and construction of NFL stadiums? Here's how. In 2022, the Tennessee Titans, get the hell out of here. The Tennessee Titans unveiled their plans for a new stadium in the heart of Nashville. Oh, God. Okay, so being from Houston, I hate the Titans because they used to be the Houston Oilers. The reason that they moved from Houston to Tennessee was Bud Adams was the owner of the Oilers. Basically, he said, I want a new stadium. And Houston said, no, like, that's not going to happen. We're not going to build a new stadium. It would cost the taxpayers billions of dollars, or millions upon millions of dollars, right? At that time, this was like in the 90s. And so he got pissed, said, I'm going to move the team. So that's something that all of these billionaires can do at any point in time. If they're not happy with what the city's doing, they can move the team. They can move the team to wherever the hell they want because they are the owners. Remember that. They own the team. That's why they always call them the owners. They can move them. Yeah, we saw San Diego Chargers move to L.A. We saw the Oakland Raiders move to Las Vegas in the last few years. And that's because, there's not enough profit being made there, right? If you're an owner, you want to go to where the money's going to be made. So that's what you want to do as an owner. Now, as a city, you would say, oh man, it's bad if we lose an NFL team because we, as a city, would lose revenue if the team moves away, which, yes, that will happen. And Houston saw that when the Oilers, the Tennessee Titans, moved from Houston to Nashville. Initially, they were the Nashville Titans, initially they were the Nashville Oilers, which doesn't make any fucking sense. And so I think they did that on purpose. There were several things that Bud Adams did to really fuck over Houston. One, he used the name over there, so the name couldn't be used in Houston ever again. So that sucks. So two, he he took the team away, and the year before he did that, he got rid of Warren Moon, which was a star quarterback. They were making the playoffs, and they were doing really good in those last final years, and that's kind of like was his chip to play. Was, hey, we're doing really good. I want a new stadium. And Houston said no. And then he was like, well, fuck it. I'm blowing up the team then. Fuck y'all. So got rid of the quarterback, moved the team, basically rebuilt the whole thing over there in Tennessee. And got Nashville. He played in the stadium in Nashville. Like the team played in the stadium in Nashville. That wasn't worth the shit. But once they saw that he moved over there, they built him a brand new stadium. This was like back in the 90s. And so they built him a new stadium, got the team there. Team's playing in Tennessee. I think it's just outside of Nashville. And now he's dead now. Yay, as a Oilers fan. But wasn't the greatest guy, by the way. He's kind of an asshole, as you can tell. But now they demanded a new stadium, the cities pay for it because it brings in revenue. It's an attraction. It helps. It does help give people jobs and whatnot. Thousands of people are employed by the NFL. However, is that something that you want? What we're seeing in DFW with the Cowboys being in Arlington, which Arlington is right in between DFW and DFW, right between Dallas and Fort Worth. Arlington's like right in the middle. The traffic is fucking terrible. Like if you live there, like it is not a logical place to live. It sucks. It sucks if there's an NFL game going on there because there's like 70,000. Is it 100,000? I don't remember how many people that stadium holds. But it's a lot of people and it causes a lot of traffic because everybody drives. It sucks. It's trash. And so Jerry Jones has already made a second stadium basically in Frisco, which is just north of Dallas. And that's where they do their whole operations. That thing was built for I think 5 or 10 years or something like that. It's live and going. They've made it an entire metropolis now. Frisco is crazy how much of it's popping off right now. But there's a lot of money that's being made in that area as to where their newer practice facility is. It's not as big as AT&T Stadium. I had a buddy coming from out of town. We did a tour of the one in Frisco, and then on the same day we did the tour of the one in Arlington, the AT&T Stadium where the Cowboys play on game day. And AT&T Stadium looks like crap. It's dated, it's old. The one in Frisco is fresh, has new. It's surrounded by a bunch of really cool stuff, a bunch of really cool shops and businesses and restaurants, and it's a very yuppie area. On top of that, that's also that area in Frisco is also where the Dallas FC play. So there's a lot of attractions over there. All of the taxpayers pay for these types of attractions. In the middle, in the entryway of that new stadium that Jerry Jones has in Frisco is a football field kind of area, and it's an official city park. So they have an official city park on the grounds of the stadium. I'm sure that was worked into it. It's actually kind of cool. Which really sucks for me to say that. Costing taxpayers a ton of money, whether you like it or not, whether you're a fan or not. If you're in the area, you're paying for this stuff. There's no way around it. I would hate to work in the little city center that they have there surrounding the Frisco Stadium, because at every restaurant, at every bar, they have to have at least one TV that is showing like the Cowboys channel, which is just a bunch of Cowboys like propaganda. So imagine if your job sucked, and then like imagine if it actually had like Cowboys stuff on there 24/7. I don't know that I could handle that. But yeah, we pay billions. We pay billions of dollars for these NFL stadiums. The owners just get to own the team, and if they want to throw a hissy fit, they can move the team whenever they want. It's happened several times. It's happened several times in the past few years, and they continue being owners because, as we saw with like Mark Cuban, he just sold like 51% of the stake in the Dallas Mavericks, and he walked away with billions of dollars because they're investment vehicles. It's capitalism, right? Line go up all the time, and it will forever go up as long as we make it go up, because we're footing the bill. This is a This is a socialist structure. It's always socialism for the rich. Always socialism for the rich. The rich benefit through multiple programs, through multiple structures that are set up for them, like this.
And it allowed them to fill the otherwise boring Sunday afternoon slot. In 1960,
that's a pretty good rant.
The NFL sold the rights to broadcast all of its games to CBS, the first time any sports league sold its TV rights collectively, and the U.S. government sued them.
The NFL prevailed and made a second revolutionary decision. In keeping with the spirit of equality, they decided to split that TV revenue equally among the teams.
That's communism.
The big city teams deserved a bigger share because they would attract more viewers. But the NFL believed sharing the revenue would enable them to grow rich together and keep every team competitive. And they were right. One team from a small rural town in Wisconsin soon dominated the NFL.
The only professional
very
team
small town,
that ever has won 5 national championships. Green Bay on game day. Community spirit has encouraged these boys and kept them among the leaders.
By the late 1960s, TV networks helped make football America's favorite sport. Americans still love baseball and basketball, but NBA teams played 82 games a season, and MLB teams played 162, meaning many games were inconsequential.
A lot of games.
NFL teams only played 16 games. Every single one of them mattered. The TV networks loved that and paid the NFL more money each year, which the league passed along to the teams. But this TV revenue also pushed the NFL to think of its games not just as sports competitions, but as television products.
And we hit the 2-minute warning.
That'll bring us to the 2-minute warning.
2-minute warning at the AFC title game.
That wasn't Aaron Hernandez. That was Gronk. Sorry, my bad. That was in the Aaron Hernandez era.
Referees to pause the game 9 minutes into each half if play hadn't stopped yet, creating the first TV timeout. And it maintained breaks 2 minutes before the end of each half, the most dramatic moments in the game, so that TV networks could sell ads at...
So if you're not familiar with football, you get 9 minutes, and then you got to go to commercial because, hey, everybody's watching this game. Got to make some revenue off of commercials, and then eventually you have to have another TV timeout. So that's why you'll see scheduled commercial breaks, even if the team is hot and they're throwing the ball all over the place. If they reach this peak, commercial, and then they'll pause the game on the field. Same thing that goes on here. And then this is a scheduled 2-minute warning. This has been known as like a strategic thing. Football teams in their strategies have a 2-minute scheme of plays that they'll run. And usually it's pretty exciting, especially if they can fire on all cylinders and actually get all plays executed. It's pretty exciting to see them do that because they'll generally go no huddle, which means that they don't go in a circle and try and figure out what the next play is. They have a series of plays that they're going to run. And so they usually do that for the 2-minute warning because there's only 2 minutes left in that quarter or 2 minutes left in that half before they get to halftime. You might ask, if you're not familiar with football, why would you be in a rush if, you can just start over here? When you start over at halftime, you have to kick the ball off again, and either team has to start over from their play structure. And then you basically repeat that, and yeah, I guess that makes for a very entertaining game. There's also 3 timeouts per team, so 6 timeouts total on each side of this block. So 6 timeouts here. That's a lot of commercials. That's a lot of commercials to run. Very friendly for TV broadcast.
At a premium.
And ABC's NFL Monday Night Football presents.
Playing every game simultaneously divided viewership. So in 1970, TV networks got the NFL
very
to move
profitable
one game to Monday night.
when you
Monday
run
Night
ads.
Football was such a success that in 2006 they added a Thursday night game. In 2022, these 3 slots were the first, third, and 6th most watched TV shows in America. As early as the 1960s, the NFL welcomed cameras on its sidelines and locker rooms. Then on it.
So the problem with this schedule here is if you aren't familiar with football and the brutality of football,
these 3 slots were the first, third, and
playing a game on Sunday is fine. Playing a game every week on Sunday is kind of a problem. Playing a game occasionally on Monday was an issue for players' safety. You would say, why? Why is that an issue? The issue is you need that extra day of rest. Your body, like, even they treat these guys like freaking like thoroughbred prize horses that you would see in horse racing or whatnot. All of these guys have extreme healthy diets. Like they get extreme workouts, like their regiment's crazy. Even the big guys that are like 350 pounds, like you would think that they're fat, like, oh, this is just a big fat guy. Like, no, that is all muscle. The reason that they put on that much weight is because they're harder to move. The heavier they are, the harder they are to move for the person that is trying to move them. Same thing for players that are running. If you're going downhill and your job is to crash into people, you want to be heavier because you're going to be able to get the ball further across the line. And that really matters when you're trying to move a football, maybe a foot into the end zone to get a touchdown. That really does matter. Every pound matters, I would say. But the body has to heal. Every play, and there's about 22 plays, I think, per half. I know or is it 22 plays per line or something like that? I forgot what the number is, but every time somebody hikes the ball, the 2 lines, the defensive line and the offensive line, are clashing. And when you hear that, you'll hear it on TV, and it'll be a clash every single time that they hike the ball. What is happening is the defensive line player is bashing, and the offensive line player is doing this also on purpose. They're bashing each other in the head with their helmets. It is a literal car crash that they're doing every single play. That is detrimental to people that want to have a life later on. This has been talked about a lot in sports, and that's why they say football is one of like the last gladiator sports. They are consistently endangering themselves. That's why we see CTE being an issue that's being brought up in the well-being of football players. Every single play is a car crash. And now what I say that it's a car crash, it's the equivalent of being in a car crash. Every single time that these O-line and D-line players crash into each other at the very beginning of the snap, you're going to see that. And if you haven't ever noticed that before, take a good look tomorrow during a game, and you will see they lunge at each other. First thing that happens is their helmets hit. And that's exactly what happens every single play. Now, that's detrimental to the body. So you would want, if you've been in a car crash, the most amount of time to recover from that. Now, what this Monday Night Football game did initially is it made these 2 teams weaker because you no longer had between Sunday to Sunday, you no longer had that time. You had, instead of between Sunday to Sunday, you had, instead of having Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday to recover, you no longer had that Monday. So you only had Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday until your next game to recover. So you had one less day to recover. And then with the introduction of Thursday night games,
watch TV show,
that fucked up the schedule even more. Like, that fucked up your body even more, because you could have a Thursday game and then have a Sunday night game or a Monday game. It would be the other way around. Sorry, starting from the other side. So let's say you had a Monday night game and then you played Thursday night. It would be a Tuesday, Wednesday, and then Thursday night game. Or like now they're doing Saturday games, so you have less days for your body to recover. It is a very fucked up situation to be in, especially the later on that you get into the season when your body is worn. You see a lot of injuries probably around mid to the later half of the season in the NFL season. It really sucks for players. I think it's not talked about enough. If you're a fantasy football nut job like I used to be, you will understand all of this and probably use it to your advantage. And if you're not, there's a tip, and it's a very, very bleak tip, that if a player or if a team played that Monday night, they're probably not going to be that great that Sunday. But also, Thursday night is running back night because most teams are beat up from that previous Sunday.
In America. As early as the 1960s, the NFL welcomed cameras
Always
on sidelines and locker rooms.
Always play running backs if they're playing on a Thursday. Always play that running back over anybody else.
Then on its equipment.
That D-line is beat up.
In the 80s, it was the first league to have its referees use instant replay to review plays. The NFL even updated the rules to incentivize passing offenses, which TV audiences enjoyed the most. Deciding early to optimize itself for television is a major reason why today the NFL can sell its TV rights for far more than any other sports league. In fact, English soccer struggled to get its games reliably on TV until the 1980s, primarily because it was worried it would dissuade fans from attending them in person. Today, Europe's TV audience is divided among the many soccer leagues, while in the US, every football fan watches the NFL. This huge amount of TV money pouring into a closed league is why the average NFL team is now worth more than $5 billion, and therefore make up most of the world's most valuable sports teams, for now. In 2021, 12 of Europe's richest soccer clubs announced they were forming a new Super League. Each would be guaranteed a spot in this closed league, adhere to strict spending rules, and would share TV revenue, a lot like the NFL. It's no surprise that 3 of these teams are owned by people who also own American sports teams. Given soccer's global popularity, a league like that could make these teams billions of dollars every year, catapulting them past NFL teams. They canceled the plan when fans rose up in protest. But they're unlikely to give up because they know it would make them rich.
Oh, they canceled the plan?
Just look at India. In 2008, when Indians launched a professional cricket league, they styled it after the NFL, creating a closed league, including just a few franchises, and splitting the TV revenue equally. A mere 15 years later, it's second behind the NFL in revenue and closing fast.
Wow.
The NFL figured out how to turn a distinctly American sport into the world's richest league. Now we're about to see the world's most popular sports try it for themselves.
The NFL and the U.S. military are milking us dry, man.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching and welcome to Search Party in 2024. We've got a bunch of new stories coming up that I'm really excited about. But since our last video, we've added about 40,000 subscribers, so I want to welcome you all to...
Yeah, pretty good stuff. I think his analysis could have been a little bit better, but it would have made for not a 13-minute video, which is ideal for the YouTubes. You know, it is what it is. But yeah, I would say, I'm not going to say the NFL's corrupt. I'm not going to say that professional sports are corrupt. Even though you could argue that they are. But definitely a socialist aspect that is used by the NFL. Something I mentioned a lot of things that he didn't mention at all, which is the stadiums being paid for by the cities and states, the TV contracts that are lucrative beyond what he was talking about, exclusive deals that are made or that have been made. The USFL and the NXFL, the USFL and the XFL are definitely on the rise. They play during the summer, which sucks. I think that's awful to have teams playing during the summer because it's extremely hot, especially in southern states, and that's where a lot of these teams are. I think that's insane. That is not taking in player safety into account. Funny story, if you ever saw the 30 for 30 on the USFL called Small Potatoes, it was called Small Potatoes because Trump basically killed the USFL back then. They had one of the best games that nobody ever watched because they were underfunded. And a lot of that had to do, I wouldn't say a lot of it, but a piece of it had to do with Trump and his involvement in the USFL, which he called Small Potatoes, and he backed out, and basically the whole thing fell apart after that. Funny story. But